Y'all, this is a Variety Kid, and today I'm going to give my review on the Galaxy Note 10, which actually I do think is, I don't know, maybe a little bit underrated, not terribly underrated. I do think that, just like every phone, there are some things that it is missing. But anyways, let's get into it. Phone review. Okay, alright. First of all, actually, in my opinion, I like even the smaller Galaxy Note 10 better than the last year Galaxy Note 9. And actually, there are some really good things. Like, I haven't heard anyone consider this. First of all, it starts at about $50 cheaper than the Galaxy Note 9 at $999 or $949 compared to $999. I'm pretty sure the Note 9 is now cheaper. And also, you get double the storage. And it's also cheaper than the Galaxy S10 Plus, which actually I do like the S10 Plus better. But, however, I mean, actually, it is called the Note 10 because it's meant to be a bigger Galaxy S10. So I don't really care that it's not better than the Galaxy S10 Plus, in my opinion. There isn't, 45-watt charging like there is on the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. It does come with 25 charging, which for me is probably plenty fast. And it's much faster than the 15-watt fast charging found on the S10e, S10, and S10 Plus. And also, I mean, I mentioned in my video about why the Note 10 Plus is one of my favorite phones, that it has extremely small bezels. And actually, even with this phone having a smaller screen than the Galaxy S10 Plus, due to its smaller bezels, it does have a screen-to-body ratio better than the one on even the Galaxy S10. I mean, actually, I mentioned this before. I like to keep a lot of apps opened, and I don't think 8 gigabytes of RAM would be able to keep all like 50 or so apps of mine open. I mean, I wouldn't really care. While this phone only has 8 gigabytes, which I do feel like which, like I did say, I mean, I'd like it if it could keep all my apps open, but the fact that it doesn't, that it would only be able to keep like 80% of my apps open, that's just my estimate, is not really like too big of a deal. It still has a big screen, and while it's not as big as the Note 10 Plus, and in my opinion, I might actually like the Note 10 Plus screens better. I do think that the phone will be a lot easier to use due to it only having a 6.3-inch screen. In my country, it comes with 15-watt wireless charging, which is fast, but I know in some countries it might come with as low as 12-watt wireless charging, which is the wireless charging found on the S10e, S10, and S10 Plus, which in my opinion is still plenty fast. I like that. It doesn't come with a 5G variant, but in my opinion that's no big deal, especially since it has 2048 megabyte LTE, which is slightly higher than the 2000 megabyte LTE found on the Galaxy S10 series. It doesn't have a time-of-flight camera, but I didn't really care too much since I think it still has augmented reality. I'm not 100% sure. And actually, I mean, like I said, the main thing that I would want the time-of-flight camera for is augmented reality, which is still on the smaller Galaxy Note 10. It just wouldn't be as good. Face ID isn't secure. I really like that they improved the durability of the fingerprint scanner, as I saw in the phone buff drop test. Meaning that you can still have the fingerprint scanner on the front, and it'll still work, and it'll still most likely work even after dropping it on its face. So you won't have to worry as much about the fingerprint scanner not working. I also like that there's a vapor chamber even on the smaller Galaxy, even on the smaller model. With the Galaxy S10 series, only the Galaxy S10 Plus had a vapor chamber, while the S10 had just a standard chamber, like I think the one found on the Note 9, or possibly a little bit better, but still definitely not as good as the S10 Plus is. Which this will help. I don't know. It could help your phone load stuff faster, possibly particularly in games, and it could keep your phone from overheating. Yeah. And I mean, actually, I was actually going to say that I don't really have a problem with phone companies making the Plus model, like having extra features besides the screen and battery. Yeah, but however, I do think that it is nice that both the Note 10 and the Note 10 Plus have the vapor chamber. And in theory, I haven't seen any tests, but in theory, this means that the Note 10 could run even better than the Note 10 Plus, due to it having a smaller screen and smaller battery. While there is still no micro SD card slot, that isn't really too big of a deal, since since there is, since for me 256 gigabytes of storage is enough. I mean, and dropping the headphone jack, I mean, I feel like I could use the headphone jack. I'm not sure I find the headphone jack too big of a deal. It comes with USB-C headphones, but in a way I kind of do care about the headphone jack, since unless you want to listen to music without headphones, you won't be able to charge your phone and listen to music at the same time unless you buy an adapter, which is sold separately. So and also if you have a pair of headphones with you, that means they won't work. Also unless you have an adapter. Like there's Gorilla Glass 6 on both the back and front instead of just the front like it is on the S10 and S10 Plus. Which this means that if you don't have a case on the back, I mean, actually, in the Phone Buff drop test of the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, the Note 10 Plus might perform better due to it being lighter, but the Note 10 Plus actually still shattered, but it did do better than the Galaxy Note 10. And about the battery, it's actually only slightly larger than the Galaxy S10 at 3500 compared to 3400, and the bigger screen does outweigh the bigger battery, so that means that you could get worse battery than the Galaxy S10. But I mean, actually, I mean, it won't be terrible, and I can't understand why they're doing this because it's for the because there's a stylus in the phone. Finally, there's a 1080p resolution, which, along with the micro SD card slot, makes it, along with the lack of the micro SD card slot, makes it seem more like the Note 10e instead of the Galaxy Note 10 because like the Note 10e means like worse than the standard model. But I mean, actually 1080p probably won't be too bad. It'll still be plenty sharp. Just probably not as sharp as the 1440p or the 97 ppi higher on the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Actually, on my bed now, I forgot to mention this, but I mean, one thing I don't really like is is they lowered the f-stop. Actually, this is the second time in a row. On the S10, they lowered it from, or they raised it, or decreased it, or declined it, from 1.7 to 1.9, and they raised it again from 1.9 to 2.2, which means that the low light photos would be worse. But I mean, actually, I don't know. I mean, I think it might be because of the smaller hole punch, that gives them, a worse front camera, which is possibly the worst thing, but however, it kind of justifies it, because actually there's now night mode on the front camera, and actually also on the telephoto camera as well, which, speaking of the telephoto camera, it also has an f2.1 aperture instead of an f2.4 aperture, so it will work better in low light. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like if you did, and have a nice day. Bye.